Last Tuesday, July 19th, I had the pleasure of going to the Holdridge City Council meeting. There was a lively bunch of people for two separate agenda items that decided to come and speak their piece. Now, a city council would be a formal task-oriented network. People have clearly defined roles, and there is also a defined hierarchy. You have your council members, you have your mayor, and behind the scenes you have different committees that also come into play. Now, there's no real scheduling issues when it comes to this like there are in some groups. Meetings for the Holdridge City Council are every second and fourth Tuesday at 7 p.m. Therefore, there shouldn't be scheduling conflicts, and all the members know exactly when they're obliged to be there. Now, when they meet, it's because there are some instrumental needs that need to be met within the community. And mostly, the City Council provides governance and public safety. Now, this could be seen through two of the agenda items that were presented. There was an ordinance to review the fireworks and the dates and times that they should be able to be set off, and also one that involves planning and zoning codes and ordinances as well. For the fireworks, people are concerned that it's going on too long, which is the 10 full days that they're also allowed to be sold in the state, and many people have issues such as their pets are being disturbed, veterans with PTSD, small children are getting scared, and the fact that people do have to work during the week and fireworks going off at 11 o'clock at night is not really good for their sleep schedule. So that's something that the City Council wanted to take into account and to see if there's something that they could do that would allow their citizens to be happier and come to a happy medium. So that would be governance. They say, okay, we have this law, but we need to tailor it to better suit our residents. And as for the planning and zoning issue, as far as like the codes that they currently have, they're looking to amend them because a building was erected that was that was said to be in addition to an existing structure, and they got the rest of the neighbors in the subdivision to give up their alley access so that they could build this, and instead it wasn't an addition to the existing structure. It was a completely brand new building that's large and has been considered an eyesore, and it's also greatly reduced the size of people's yards and obstructed views. So citizens feel that they didn't have proper rules in place to prevent something like this happening in a residential area, because essentially it's a small pole barn. So when the board meets, they take all these things into consideration, so that way we as citizens have a voice and they're showing us that we're here for you. And the reciprocal of that would be that the public creates the need for them to exist in the first place. So they're there to solve our problems, and that's how they fit into the task-oriented group. At the meeting, there was no real groupthink that was going on. It was not an issue. The discussion on the matters that were presented were very open-minded, and it was a healthy dialogue. There were people on both sides of the argument that still listened to the opposing argument and looked at the multiple angles, took it all into account, and used that as a means to decide what the next step would be. They understood that it's not going to appease everybody, but no matter what decision they make, somebody's not going to be happy with it, so they have to think about the greater good. And that really shows that groupthink is not a dynamic for the City Council, that they're level-headed and they're thinking for themselves, as well as trying to think in a cohesive unit that has a common goal. And most importantly, the City Council members didn't display any signs of loafing. They did not feel like, oh, we have the power and we're gonna lord it over you and not really do anything. They also didn't behave like they're entitled to anything because they're on the city council. Now, there's really no risk of the entirety of the city council being adjourned. If there was, Holdridge would have a lot bigger problems, being that the town would essentially have to dissolve and the city council would no longer be needed. But knowing that it is a secure group to be a part of and know that there is that healthy dynamic still didn't affect the way that they conducted themselves or did their jobs. It really did exemplify that they were there for a greater good.